What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Snap It Sold Today Show, episode 85. I am your host, Billy Bob Joe William James Peru with Snap It Sold.
And I'm your co-host, Hannah Olachowski with Snap It Sold.
Woo! You guys already know the rules. Positive impact, one sunny day at a time, and we are crickety.
Coconut cracking the code.
Cracking the code to what, you may ask. Guys, we are outside enjoying this beautiful weather because we know in just about 4 months we're going to be inside shivering with coats on. So we are going to enjoy it while it lasts. And I know that's a lot of what we talk about is the sunny, beautiful weather because we are that is what we love, right? So we're going to build our brand in Michigan, and then in the wintertime we're going to go start our business in Florida. Count and mark my words, it's going to happen. Anyway, guys, today the code that we're cracking to is appraisals. And now we've talked about appraisals before, right? We've talked about the main appraisal type that's used when coming up with a value for residential property.
Right.
This week we want to talk about the 3 different approaches to appraisals, the different types of appraisals. Valuations, that's the word. There's my brain's beauty in the operation. So we're going to kind of take you guys like on a ride along, and it's not going to be as funny as Ice Cube and Kevin Hart's movie, but we're going to try to make it as engaging as possible so you guys can most importantly understand the importance of an appraisal for your property and then the different ways. I feel like if you can look at the entire scenario, like you can see all the pieces on the chessboard, you can make sense of why appraisers do what they do and why we need that in place to, make sure everybody's safe in the transaction. All right, so let's go take a ride. So we'll look at one property, look at the other property, and we'll just compare the differences and the similarities in those homes compared to the subject property.
And then that's how you would add or subtract value to the subject property or the property that's being sold right now.
Absolutely, and that really is as simple as it gets. And that's typically what people outside of real estate will do. They look at other homes on Zillow, let's just use Zillow for example, and they'll say, oh, this house sold down the street. It seems like it's pretty comparable to mine.
Right.
And you wouldn't be wrong in assuming that, but an appraisal is always going to be more specific, and it'll determine the value a little bit better than, just guesstimating. Right? So that's our first stop. Let's go to the next one. All right, so the income approach. Now this one is very, very simple, and it can be made to be very complicated, and it's just not. So the key thing to remember is there's 3 types of ways that an appraiser can evaluate a property. Okay, they take all 3 into consideration, but there's specific ones for specific reasons. So the building behind me is a cash flowing building, right? So we want to look at the income that this property brings on an annual basis. There's all types of math involved to divide, and then for an appraiser to actually come up with a calculation of how much that building is worth. But you would not use an income approach to evaluating a property on a residential home that's not a rental property, right? So it makes sense if you look at it from that perspective.
Exactly.
Next on the list is cost approach. I'm going to put it up there and be all fancy with it. It's going to be really cool. All right, cost approach, guys. Why does an appraiser use cost approach in determining a value for a property? And what is the most common type of property that an appraiser would use the cost approach on?
Well, there's not one specific kind. So typically they use it for new construction or really any sort of highly specialized property, like the one behind us, for example, which is a church. There's not too many churches that are close to each other in proximity. So that would be a reason why it's considered like a unique specified.
And to give you guys some more examples of that, it would be like a church, a school, a fire department, police station, a library. Things like that are highly specialized properties. We're not standing in front of a church because we're trying to push any religious beliefs. It was actually the closest drive to us from our office where we just left from.
Exactly.
And Hannah was scared that we were going to get attacked by fire department people or police officers.
Or somebody just being like, what's going on? What are you guys doing?
You guys trying to steal our water from our fire department? I don't know. We have enough problems. I have enough problems.
With inflation, I just might be.
So let's talk about how appraisers use it to determine value. So there's 3 things that they take into account, right? Cost to build the church. Let's just use the church for example. Brand spanking new in today's dollars, from top to bottom, right?
Which is the most important in today's dollars, because had they built this in like the 1950s, obviously it's going to be a lot more to build it.
Especially right now with inflation, but we could talk about that for hours. The next thing that they would do is they would add depreciation, or they would,
subtract.
I would say add depreciation. That would be nice. Wouldn't it? Subtract depreciation, right? So you have physical depreciation, which is the property, like is the roof old, the plumbing things like that.
Right.
Physical depreciation. Then you have functional depreciation, which is, and with the church, sometimes it's hard to go back and forth with functional depreciation, but I like to refer back to, let's just say 1810.
Right.
And that's just the number I have in my mind. They didn't have running water, right? So they probably had an outhouse outside where the people would come and have to use the bathroom outside. Versus today,
that would be very odd and uncommon.
Right, and that would be a definition or a possibility for functional depreciation.
Exactly.
And then next we have just external depreciation, which, let's just say if a freeway was built extremely close, or there was local ordinance that changed or zoning laws that changed.
Right.
So you take all those into account, and that's how an appraiser would justify and come up with a valuation of the property.
Right. Also, don't forget about the land. Like, for example, this church is probably on about, I'd say, like 2 acres, and because it's such a large plot of land, it's more than likely buildable.
Yes.
Which adds even more value.
Absolutely, and I did forget about that. High five for that. That's why we always say
gotta
2
miss
is
a
better
partner.
than 1, 2 brains, always better than 1.
Right.
But let's go to the next property. Nail in the coffin on this video, guys. Again, this was just to help, well, me and Hannah had a conversation about trying to help people understand the importance of an appraisal, right? And so I think in understanding the one main thing, you can look at all the other pieces around it, and it helps you center it and understand it a little bit better. So that was our way of explaining it to each other like a 4-year-old. If you have any more questions about the different types of appraisals, and the one that you should be more focused on, say if you're an investor, if you're looking to build a organization building, you know, different things like that, you can always reach out to us and we'll give you that information, help you understand a little bit better. And I think we'll wrap the video up at that. I'm sweating like a pig, even though pigs don't sweat. Why do people say that? I don't know. As always,
it costs
$0 and 0 cents to be a decent human being in this world.
Yes, it does.
Get to a pool, get to a beach, and enjoy the rest of your summer. Cool off. We'll see you guys on the next episode.